morning, my name is Isabella Carpenter, and today we're going to talk about the death in the Islam religion. When close to death, family members and friends should be present and must be hopeful and kind to them and tell them to pronounce the Shahada, where the person confirms the unity of God, Allah.
There is no other God but Allah. Muhammad is the Prophet of Allah. Allah, please help me from the agony and hardship of death.
To Allah we belong, to Allah we return.
So as soon as the person dies, the people around him should close his eyes and do the dua, where they ask Allah to forgive the sins of the deceased.
Allah help to forgive the sins of the deceased. Muslims aim to bury the body as fast as possible, and certainly within 3 days so that the body is not viewed before the funeral. When preparing for the funeral, the body must be washed, ghusl, and shrouded kafan, which is commonly done by close family members of the same gender as the deceased. The body must be washed 3 times until it is entirely clean. Even though it could be more, it should be washed an odd number of times. Women's hair should not be washed but braided into 3 braids. When the body is finally clean, it shall be wrapped in a white sheet.
For the body to be shrouded, 3 white sheets of cheap material must be placed on top of each other, and the body must be laid on top of them. Women should be wearing a sleeveless and ankle-length veil, with the deceased, no matter the gender, shall rest their hand on their chest, and the right hand should lay on top of their left hand. Then the sheets shall be folded over the body, beginning with the right side, then moving on to the left side, until all 3 sheets are used. For the securement of the shrouding, there must be a rope tied above the head, 1 under the feet, and 2 around the body.
Then, the body shall be transported to the mosque for the funeral prayers to take place, which are known as Salat al-Janazah. These prayers must be performed by all members of the Ummah in a prayer room or in the courtyard of the mosque, but it can't be done inside the mosque. They should be facing Mecca and make up 3 lines with the closest male relative of the deceased in the first line, followed by men, children, and then women.
While the people are standing beside the deceased's grave, the first surah is read.
In the name of Allah, most gracious, ever merciful, all types of perfect praise belong to Allah alone, the Lord of all the worlds. Most gracious, ever merciful, Master of the Day of Judgment, do we worship, and Thee alone do we implore for help. Guide us along the straight path, the path of those on whom Thou hast bestowed Thy favors, those who have not incurred Thy displeasure, and those who have not gone astray.
From the earth have we created you, and into it we shall call you to return, and from it we bring you forth once more.
When the body is in the grave, stones should be placed on top of the body in order to prevent the direct contact between the soil and the body. Right after that, each mourner will place 3 handfuls of soil into the grave.
To prevent people from walking over the deceased body by accident, graves are built above the ground in order to clearly show the place of the burial. Decorations in large graves are prohibited by the religion.
Widows will go through a longer period of mourning, a little bit more than 4 months. Throughout their mourning, they shall not interact with men they can marry, which are known as nahama.
Expressing grief when mourning death is accepted in Islam, and crying in the funeral or at the burial is acceptable as well. However, shrieking, breaking objects, or showing lack of faith in Allah are all prohibited ways of acting.
Even though there are 2 sections of Islam, Sunni and Shia, which disagree regarding many religious issues, they hold the same beliefs and traditions when it comes to death and funeral in Islam. Muslims tend to prefer burial and disapprove or prohibit cremation because they believe that on the Day of Judgment, known as Yawm al-Din, there will be a resurrection and Allah will put the bodies back together as written in Surah 75:3-4, which says, "Does man imagine that we shall not assemble his bones? Indeed, we have the power to restore his very fingertips." Muslims also tend to believe that until this day, the dead will remain in the tombs, and the ones that will go to paradise will experience peace, while the ones that will go to hell will experience suffering.
Muslims believe that aging and death are inevitable, as seen in Surah 3:185. They believe that every living creature shall taste death. In Islam, death is considered to be a transition in which you enter a higher and more advanced world. In the Islamic perspective, there are three different connected stages of life. The first one is the world of matter, where we live with our body and soul. The second is the world of barzakh, in which souls and with bodies are similar to our physical bodies are present. Finally, the third world is hereafter, where the soul will unite with its original body. While the world of matter is known to be a place of action, the hereafter is considered to be the world of reward or punishment. Thus, Muslims consider hereafter to be a reflection of the world of matter.